Welcome to the Pearl and the Echo podcast. I'm your co host, Dori Sim, and with me I have, as always, the amazing Jim Rajan. Before we get into today's episode, let's take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And you can breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth if you like. And one last breath. Make it the longest breath, biggest breath you've taken today. Okay, so we're going to jump right in today. And Jim, I know you love Rumi.
I do. Well, you know
And
me.
so today we're going to do a Rumi quote. It's time. It's going to be the first one and it probably won't be our last.
There's no doubt.
Maybe before I give the quote, I feel like you're more the Rumi expert than I am. Could you tell people maybe they've never heard of Rumi, just who that is, and just give some context and background?
I love Rumi. Rumi was this 13th century Persian mystic, Persian poet. It is said that he was the birth of the whirling dervish, and he was a wonderfully spiritual man who had a really fascinating and interesting life. What I love about his writings is that you just read one line and it nails you to the wall. It's his words. It's not just words. It's not just like reading a piece of poetry. The words still have this power to bring you to a really conscious place almost immediately. And that's why I love him.
Yeah, I just looked it up quickly. From 1207 to 1273 is when he was alive.
Yeah, he had a very
Um,
colorful life as well. He was like a really fascinating, really fascinating
mhm.
person too. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad. I've always seen kind of Rumi quotes here and there, on social media and different places. But it was when we started working together when I really when it
Yeah.
became like a deeper practice. Today's quote is, "Beautiful days do not come to you. You must walk toward them." Or towards them. So I'll say it again. Beautiful days do not come to you. You must walk towards them. It's very short. I have kind of my own version of this actually, which is that it's never too late to have a good day. So maybe your morning was hectic, whatever, trying to get out the door or, construction and you're just having a day. You can always turn it around, breathe, call someone. You can take some kind of action towards it being a beautiful day. And, without some of those challenges that come our way, would we know what beauty is? I don't know, right? Um, so I like that it's action oriented. In Canada right now, it's very cold. We're like deep winter. It can be very easy to stay inside and not embrace the fact that yes, it's negative, whatever it is, but the sun is shining. It is a beautiful day outside, and you can go out. You just have to put on 5 layers. So yeah, I like it because it gives you a choice. It's kind of like instead of life happening to you, it says, well, actually, no, you can walk towards what you want in that day.
Yeah. And he's not saying run or fight or push or hustle or win. He's not
Yeah.
saying like make life happen. Like it's not saying go out there and do it and be the best. And it's just saying beautiful days do not come to you. You walk towards them. I'm a big believer that the 1st of January is not really the beginning of the year because here in Spain, I've got another 2 months of cold and only
Yeah.
then is it going to start to be spring and buds
Hmm.
coming out and blossoms. I know what you mean. And I do think winter is a time for kind of hibernating to a degree, but this isn't saying go in the opposite direction from how your energy feels, is it? This is saying,
Hmm.
no, just quietly walk towards something beautiful and it will make its way towards you. I think we as human beings think we have to force everything to happen, don't
Hmm.
we? And that's not the case, is it?
Yeah, and It's funny because initially when I went into the quote as we're talking, I'm making this assumption that if it's not a beautiful day, then it's a bad day. Something bad is happening, or there's some kind of calamity. But there can be beauty in that too. Like there can be beauty in watching a movie that just destroys you. You're just bawling. There can be beauty in that kind of release. And yeah, beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder. So I don't think it needs
Yeah.
to be this perfect edited thing that we
Yeah.
often see in the media.
It's just simple, exactly, in the eye of the beholder, in a simple thing, a little flower, a bird singing in the morning. We all have this expectation that everything is going to be terrible, or everything is fear-based, or we have to worry about this and we have to worry about that. And we kind of train ourselves to get really quite negative about life. And we forget that we don't have control over everything, and that just because we do something, something else will happen. It's not all black and white. Everything's got different shades and textures to it all the time. There is this idea that in the modern world, we're sold so much comfort and everything being easy, and I press a button and my book arrives next day from wherever. And we're like, where's my stuff? Everyone else has got a lovely life. What about me? And
Hmm.
it's he's just saying, yeah, it's there, but you just need to walk towards it.
Yeah. There's a lot of other quotes that are coming to me, especially because right before we started recording, I checked my email and I was like, "Oh, that's not the best news." I wouldn't even know where it comes from, but the whole like when one door closes, another one opens. So again, if you're walking towards that beauty and you think the beauty is behind this door, but actually that door is closed, then it's like maybe you're gonna find it somewhere else, or maybe it was just a facade, and you have to go find a different path towards what you
Hmm.
might need.
Because you get one piece of bad news, or just because you get rejected by something or someone once, doesn't mean it's going to happen again. But we train our minds, or in a way our minds train us, to look for the problems and look for the bad stuff. And I'm hyper vigilant. I can deal with a million things in 1 minute if you want me to. I'm super ADHD. I can do it. If you give me a million things to do, I will kill myself doing it. Absolutely. And enjoy it as well. But what this is saying, no, there is just naturally occurring in life lovely things. You don't need to assume that everything is terrible. You don't need to assume that you're not going to get nice things, or that some beautiful thing will happen to you. Good things will happen in the future. Yeah, bad stuff
Hmm.
will also happen, of course, but good things will happen. So if we're assuming it's going to be bad, we're kind of conditioning it to go the way we're assuming it will go, when
Yeah.
actually, no, it wasn't given to you. Well, then it wasn't beauty. It wasn't the right thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Rumi also wrote something like, "A turn in you makes the universe turn." A turn, that's just this. That's
Hmm.
not loads of hard work of
Yeah.
pushing and fighting and trying to make stuff happen. That's just, hey, hey, Dori, let's start a podcast. And you go, all right, yeah, cool, why not? Let's just do that and let's see what happens. And you see where it takes you. We predefine when we're kind of ruining it, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because through the work of meditating, of reflecting, of pausing, I can see myself in like a moment of when the world says no, right? It's very easy to go down the very familiar path of I'm not good enough. Oh, this is never going to happen for me. All the kind of negative self-talk, very easy,
Mm.
very easy to walk down that path. But I feel like now I look down the path and I say, okay, the part that wants to go that down that path, valid. I hear
Mm.
you. Okay. What about this path over here? Or what about this third path? It's interesting how powerful it can be to just pause and not just start running down the path you've always been running down.
Yeah, because that's kind of based on fear and lack and not having, and oh my God, I need to have something and I'm going to
Hmm.
run. I love to, whenever I'm going to walk into a room that I'm nervous about walking into, I like to just stop and go, this is just going to go beautifully. And whether I'm lying to myself, or self-encouraging or self-soothing before something terrible might happen, doesn't really matter, but you've automatically kind of told yourself or your nervous system, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be amazing. And then you're all kind of buzzing. And then you go into that room and there are 50 people and it's a wedding and you're highly sensitive and you normally freak out. And you've prepared yourself for a beautiful experience.
Mhm.
And you don't scurry off and hide in the corner and have a drink and get some Dutch courage. You just walk in and, well, if this is going to be amazing, well, let's do it and let's see what happens. And you're
Yeah.
open, aren't you?
Yeah. You're open, but it's all, I feel like you're also setting that intention. And so when you set that intention, it's almost like if you're looking for the beauty, you just kind of know where to go. You know who to talk to, or they come to you because they can
Yeah,
sense that that's
exactly.
how you're entering the space.
And you don't care because when you, like, if you're going to go on stage and you're going to talk in front of 100 people and give a seminar, of course you're worried and nervous and you want it to go really well, but there's all this kind of, like, your heart is going crazy, you think you're going to be sick, oh my god, I've forgotten everything I was going to say, and you're looking at your notes and then you put them in the wrong order, and because you're not in the right place at all, and there's the assumption of disaster. But I always like to just do that, and of course be prepared, but then spend a few moments just quietly going, well, yeah, this is just going to be brilliant. This is going to go
Mhm.
super well. And yeah, of course, part of it is the self-soothing, self-encouraging, but there's a part of it, it makes you just go, and so I don't really care. The problem isn't on my shoulders. I'm
Yeah.
going to go out there, I'm going to do my best, and hopefully they like it. But at the same time, well, I can just have fun. If there is the possibility of beautiful days coming, well, all I've got to do is just walk out there and see what happens.
Mhm.
But we have with the idea, oh, I better get a standing ovation. Everyone had better like it.
Yeah.
But what if most people don't like it, but two people absolutely adore it, and they're the
Mm.
people who then give you a job or give you some kind of
Yeah.
opportunities? You
Yeah.
just never know, do you?
Yeah, it's so true. It really reminds me of the last kind of big presentation I had to give. And it was really interesting because it was a former employer, and we had written this paper, and they said, can you please come present this paper? And I said, yeah, why not? I want to see my old coworkers. It's close by. My supervisor at the time was totally fine with it, with me going. And so I went, but because there was zero pressure, like I'm not getting paid to do that presentation. I'm just kind of doing it because I can. And I had just finished a comedy stand-up writing class. And so I went into it like a performance, which I don't usually do, but I mean, any public speaking is kind of a
Mm.
performance. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I threw some like audience participation in there, how many people, raise your hand if, and that's all you really need for people to start paying attention to what you're saying, right? And so it went really well. Probably one of the best presentations I've given. And it felt good. And then afterwards, you don't really know if you made an impact. I had some people come talk to me and things like that. But then I was sitting at a table later on, and someone had kind of like left their materials there. It was at a conference, and you could see like they wrote down my name, they wrote down my email, right? And it's like okay, so something resonated, right? Like something resonated with that person.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you walked into every presentation like that, where it's like, well, no one is paying me, no one, there's zero stakes here, or very, very little stakes, and you just have fun. Like that was my goal. I was like, I'm gonna have fun with this. It was in this beautiful space. I was on a stage with lights, and I was like, fantastic, so much fun.
Yeah, and if you walk beautifully towards something, how you carry yourself, how you do that is very different from, oh my God, this is, oh no, I'm super nervous, and like self-comforting. And you and I both know that someone will be listening to this and they'll be going, yeah, Jim and Dory, well, that's really easy for you guys to say, but my life's really hard and I've got all of this pain and this suffering and my life is much worse than
Yeah.
yours is. And you have no idea how difficult my life is. And well, yeah, I would love a bit of niceness in my life, but that's never going to happen, right?
Hmm.
And there's your answer.
Mm,
I've got my problems. I've had all kinds of problems in my life. I will continue to have all kinds of problems, but you can base your life on that, or you can base your life on other things. And just the word beautiful conjures up all kinds of images. Why shoot yourself in the foot? Why cut your nose off despite your face, or whatever the
mhm,
line is? Why not
mhm,
just go, yeah, to hell with it. All right. Well, I've got nothing to lose.
mhm,
Let's if beautiful things are coming and all I need to do is walk towards them, well, let's just do that and see, and not analyze and try and organize and plan it. And I think that's the problem with the modern world, is that everything has to be so organized and planned and perfect before we even do it, that then we never get to do it. you know
mhm,
why not? Let's just do it. Let's just walk towards something beautiful and then work it out
mhm.
along the way, instead of scuppering it before we even start.
Yeah. Yeah, and if there is anyone listening that is feeling like, well, no, I could never do that, or I can't do that today, I'm too busy. Ask yourself, like, what is the smallest action that what can I give myself today? Like, it could be a glass of water. It could be like looking in the mirror and saying I love you to yourself, as hard as that might be. It could be giving yourself a hug, as
True.
silly as that might be. Like, there's always going to be a part of you or a voice that's like, oh, what are you doing? Right? But at the Pearl and the Echo podcast, we do it anyway.
Yeah, it's purely a choice between, no, I feel in my heart that there's some beautiful things in the world, and if I just gently walk, I'm not running, I'm not like forcing, I haven't got a sword in my hand, I'll just like walk towards that. Well, then let's see what happens. Or life is terrible and really hard and difficult, and the world's falling to pieces, and what we're all going to do. And yeah, the world has got some really awful things happening in it. Most of it you can't do anything about, and a lot of people can do stuff about what's going on and aren't doing it anyway. So it's easy to sit and judge yourself. Oh, well, I can't have this, or I'm not good enough for that, or I'll never have this thing, or I can't be an artist because I never went to art school. Or all you need to do is beautifully, quietly walk towards an art supply shop, and buy some paints and a brush. It could not be simpler. But there's this mental chatter of, oh no, but this and that, and I'll never do this, and I'll never have that, and actually none of it exists. It's all just in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We have options. And I think the goal is really to observe the patterns and make new ones. If you can't tell yourself that you love yourself, go tell someone else. If there's something that you feel like you need but you can't give it to yourself, ask
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And passive has the feeling of stuck for me. It's like, well, many people in this world are very passive, and they're not willing to take any action. But it's really easy to fall into traps of stopping yourself and not doing things. And this world would be an amazing place if people didn't do that. But that's the natural way. That's what we all do. And we can look at the stuckness and say, God, I'm stuck and I can't change this. And I'm in a job that I don't like, or I wish I could do
Mhm.
this. And look at all these amazing people doing all these amazing things, and I can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. You can take the tiniest piece of action and just walk towards it. And who knows what will happen? Just take the first step, really.
Exactly. I think that's a lovely note to end on. As always, for our listeners, tell us what you think of the quote, sit with it for the next week, and see what comes up for you.
Thank you so much, Dori.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for listening to the Pearl and the Echo podcast with me, Dori Sim, and my co host, Jim Rajan. Thank you to Rebel Mixtape Productions for editing this episode. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, and share with those in your life that matter most.